What happened, timeline and locations. June 14, 2025, at around 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time, a gunman impersonating a police officer arrived at the home of Senator John Hoffman, DFL District 34, and his wife Yvette in Champlin, Minnesota, and shot both at close range. The couple sustained multiple gunshot wounds, underwent surgery, and are reported to be in stable condition. Shortly after, at approximately 3:35 a.m., law enforcement responding to the Champlin shooting proceeded to check on Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman's home in nearby Brooklyn Park. The suspect, dressed in police-style gear and driving a vehicle mimicking a squad car, was seen at the door of her house. A gunfight occurred between the suspect and arriving officers, during which the suspect retreated into the house and escaped on foot. Melissa Hortman, 55, and her husband Mark Hortman were found inside the home. Melissa was declared deceased at the scene, and Mark later succumbed to his injuries despite immediate medical attention. In response, a shelter-in-place order was enforced within a 3-mile radius of Edinburgh Golf Course in Brooklyn Park, as authorities launched an active manhunt who the victims were. 1. Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman served as Speaker of the Minnesota House from 2019 to 2024 and was an influential DFL legislator since 2005. Known for her leadership and bipartisan collaborations, especially on issues like police reform. Killed alongside her husband Mark, survived by their 2 children. Mark Hortman, Melissa's husband. He was with her at the home and died after being shot. 3. Senator John A. Hoffman, DFL District 34. In office since 2013, serving a suburban district that includes Champlin. Shot alongside his wife Yvette, both survived and were out of surgery and recovering. Yvette Hoffman, John Hoffman's wife, also shot and wounded, underwent surgery, now in stable condition. Police car light the suspect and police response. Described as a white male, with brown hair, wearing a blue shirt and pants, overlaid by black body armor. Armed, believed to have fled on foot after exchanging gunfire with police. The suspect's vehicle resembled a police SUV, complete with emergency lights and a manifesto listing other officials. Agencies involved include local police, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the FBI, and state emergency operations. Residents were strongly urged not to approach anyone claiming to be law enforcement unless accompanied by another and verified via 911. Political and public reaction. Governor Tim Walz condemned the event as a politically motivated assassination and unspeakable tragedy, emphasizing the need to reject political violence. U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar described it as a stunning act of violence, noting her deep grief over losing a friend and colleague. President Trump, via press secretary, denounced the violence and pledged to prosecute to the fullest extent. Minnesota Republicans, including Senate Minority Leader and House GOP Speaker, joined Democrats in grief, praying for healing while condemning the violence. A surge in security protections was ordered for state officials statewide. Context and significance. An historically rare, but deeply alarming case of targeted political violence in the U.S. A recent University of Chicago survey highlights growing public concern over such threats. Minnesota's legislature is currently tied, with a delicate power-sharing agreement in place. Hortman's homicide shakes the foundation of that balance. The suspect's police impersonation and manifesto with names suggest planned political assassinations. The passage of a session with bipartisan cooperation days ago stands in stark contrast, reinforcing Governor Walz's plea for democratic discourse over violence. Magnifying glass tilted left latest status and ongoing developments. A shelter-in-place directive remains in effect in the vicinity of Brooklyn Park. The suspect remains at large. The investigation continues, with multiple agencies coordinating searches, evidence collection, and surveillance. Lawmakers are under heightened protection, and constituents are urged to be vigilant, calling 911 to verify official visits. No suspect identification or motive disclosed yet beyond the politically motivated angle. Compass why this matters. Direct attack on democracy. Elected officials were targeted at home using law enforcement disguise, a profound breach of public trust. Escalation of political violence. This incident is another data point in a concerning U.S. trend toward aggressive, ideologically driven attacks. Security overhaul likely, heightened protections, verification protocols, like requiring 2 officers, and preemptive alerts may become standard. Polarization at the highest cost. The violence threatens to fracture trust across political lines and intensifies calls for civility and bipartisan unity. White heavy checkmark. Next steps and what to watch. Manhunt outcome. The immediate update to follow is whether the suspect is apprehended and what evidence, manifesto, motive, are uncovered. Condition reports. Continued updates on recovery for the Hoffmans and any new details on the Hortman family legacy and public memorials. Policy responses. Look for legislative efforts to enhance security for public officials or curb political violence. Public impact. Monitoring how this event shapes public opinion, civic engagement, and debate tone across the country and in Minnesota.